Hey guys, we're going to show you a simple recipe for making your own kimchi, which is a spicy side dish from Korea. This will take you about 5 to 7 days. It is very delicious, it is fermented and it's very good for you. For this recipe you'll need 1 Chinese cabbage, 250 grams of peeled daikon, also known as Korean radish or muli, 3 spring onions, about 7 cloves or 40 grams of garlic, about 60 grams of peeled ginger, 70 grams or quarter of a cup of salt, 30 grams of Korean coarse chili pepper powder, also known as Gochugaru, 1 teaspoon of sesame seeds, and 1.5 teaspoons of sugar. We will also need about 2 teaspoons of fish sauce, but alternatively you can use soy sauce. This is the coarse chili pepper powder that you'll need. You can find this in your local Asian shop or online. In terms of equipment, you'll need a food processor, a bowl, scales, 1 litre or 1 quart jar, and some gloves. Wash the cabbage, and then we're going to cut it in quarters. Get rid of the ends so you can discard these. And then what we're going to do is cut them in about 2-inch pieces. – 70 grams of salt. Mix the salt in really well with the cabbage, work it in. So I've got about 250 grams of daikon here. I'm going to cut them into these half moon shapes. If you want smaller pieces, you can cut them into quarters like this. We're now going to make the paste. So add the garlic and ginger, add your chili flakes, your sesame seeds, and sugar. Don't forget to add 2 teaspoons of fish sauce or soy sauce. We'll put these away in the fridge while we wait for the cabbage to be done. It's been half an hour, so now we're going to mix the cabbage again. The goal of this is not to just salt the cabbage, but also to get rid of all the excess water. At this stage, the cabbage should be much more pliable and there should be a lot of water in the bowl. I'm going to mix it all again, making sure to get the salt at the bottom, and we will rest it again for 30 minutes. We'll stir it one last time and let it rest for another 30 minutes. It's been 2 hours in total. As you can see, a lot of liquid came out of cabbage. So we're going to rinse this cabbage and leave it in a colander for a bit. We want to wash the cabbage really well, get rid of all the excess salt. Meanwhile, take out your other ingredients from the fridge. Now we're going to blitz this into a paste. In between blending, make sure you scrape everything from the edges. This is the sort of consistency that you're looking for. Start combining everything into the bowl. Daikon and spring onions. And for this step, I highly recommend wearing gloves. Take the paste and put it in the bowl. Again, with your glove, mix all the ingredients together so the paste is nicely distributed. All vegetables should have a nice even coating of chili. Put the mixture in the mason jar. Each time you put some in, make sure you press them down to reduce the amount of air. Ideally, we want to have like an inch space at the top to account for the extra gas and water that will build up. Now we're just going to clean this jar and we'll put it away. We're now going to let this ferment at room temperature. I recommend putting a small plate underneath it in case some liquid escapes, and also I recommend covering it with a kitchen cloth. As it is the case for all fermented foods, it is unpredictable. So the fermentation could take anything from up to 1 day to 7 days or longer. It really depends on things like the temperature in your house and your specific ingredients and so on. So in the past, I've made kimchis which has been very liquidy and actually had liquid coming out from the jar. But this time round, I've just had, as you can see, some bubbles developing, which is great. And also another good sign is that when you open it after 1 day, it should make a little tss sound as the gas escapes. So that's another good sign that the fermentation is taking place. So as I said, keep a close eye on it, check every day, and then from about day 5 start tasting it, and then whenever it's to your liking, then it's ready. It's a good idea to keep an eye on it, and every day open it, and first of all just have a look out for any signs of fermentation. Also make sure that there aren't any signs of mold, which would be a big red flag. So best thing to do is every day just stir the contents at the top, just stir them a little bit, and then with a spoon press all of it down, making sure to get everything around the edges, and then close it, put it away as we did before, and come back and check again in 1 day. The kimchi has been fermenting for 6 days now. Best thing to do is to start tasting it. So I would recommend tasting a piece of daikon. It really comes down to your own preference. Some people like to leave it to ferment for longer, others not. So if it tastes good to you, then close it, put it in the fridge and consume within 2 months. I've let it ferment for 7 days, but as I mentioned earlier, it really depends on your own preference. Also, in the future, you can adjust the amount of chilies that you use if you want it more spicy or less spicy. Enjoy!